Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be a first impression look at the new Pat McGrath liquid eyeshadow. So I picked up two shades, Cosmic Chartreuse and Platinum Bronze, to try out and see how these compare to some other formulas. So I really love Pat McGrath. I really love liquid eyeshadows. I have quite a few of them. So I'm gonna do some swatches, try these out on the eyes, and then compare them to some products like Lisa Eldridge's liquid eyeshadows, the Sydney Grace liquid eyeshadows, and so on, and see, are these worth the money? And if you're new here, welcome. My name is Colin. I am a non-binary Latinx scientist and lover of makeup with a particular interest in indie makeup and high-end makeup. And I tend to take a pretty analytical approach to both my makeup reviews and my makeup collection in general. And I have new content every week, so I'd love to have you subscribe. Okay, so I got two shades of this. It was really hard to pick because really wanted most of them, but I picked up Platinum Bronze and Cosmic Chartreuse because these are $29. They do have a lot of product though, and I did get a little bit of a discount for like that launch day, like 10% off. So I paid about $26 per shadow, which is not the worst. So the Lisa Eldridge Liquid Lurex eyeshadows, which I love and have a handful of, are $27. So this isn't too much more. But these do have more products. So the Lisa Eldridge shadows have 0.09 fluid ounces or 2.8 milliliters in each of these. And these have 6.1 milliliters or 0.20 ounces. So you're getting almost double, you're getting more than double the product for $2 more. So if they perform just as well, it's really not a bad price. Even though it does seem like it when you're just looking at it. So for comparison, here are the two Pat McGrath shades, and here are a couple of my Lisa Eldridge. So you can see they are bigger and you are getting more product. So did want to make sure I put that out there because I did see people say that $29 was a lot, but it's Pat McGrath, you're also getting a lot of product. So I'm gonna start with some comparisons. I'm just gonna do some swatches on my hand and see what the formula seems like. I don't have any of the About Face liquid eyeshadows on me. I have swatched them in person and I do have some on their way to me. So a review of that will be coming soon. But those are, I think, a different, more glittery formula. It's not really comparable. But let's swatch both of these. Then I'll swatch some Lisa ones next to it. And then we'll see what else we have that's might be kind of similar. So the first shade I got was Platinum Bronze. As soon as I saw there was a cool tone bronze, I had to have it. It looked beautiful in the swatches and it looks beautiful in person. It doesn't say anywhere on here that you need to shake them or anything, but I'm going to because generally best. And I'm gonna put this right here. Feels very creamy. The applicator is a nice little flexible, like really squishy, flexible doe foot. Kind of a paddle shape, and it is a really beautiful, like bronzy chocolate brown, perfect kind of one and done smoky eye, which is why I wanted that. And then here is Cosmic Chartreuse, and it, as soon as I saw green, I knew I had to get the green. I am not, if nothing but a sucker for green eyeshadow, and that is beautiful. It is very green. I'm gonna grab a little blending brush. This is just a little synthetic brush from Sigma. And I'm just gonna blend these out and see kind of what they look like. I would use my fingers, but I don't want it everywhere yet. So that blends out really sparkly. It is really beautiful. I think blended out, it's not quite as dark. So a light layer of it blended out gives you a really nice wet effect sparkle with that chocolatey brown base. And then the green shade, let's try blending that out. So as I blend it out, the green isn't really blending. It's more the gold sparkle in it blending out. And you can see there's a little bit of a greeny haze, but it's not blending out as much as the base color as is on the Platinum Bronze. These do feel very similar to the Lisa Eldridge, but not quite. So I'll swatch. I've got two Lisa Eldridge shades here. I've got Anais and Daphne. This is a cool tone, more pewter shade. So it's gonna be a lot cooler than either of these. And then this is Daphne, which is Lisa Eldridge's olive shade. And here are those. These, I think this is a little bit more chartreuse. It's got a little bit more of that bright green, that little bit of yellow. This is a little more muted olive. Like, it's still olive, but it's not quite as green. I'll put the two side by side. So when you put a thick swatch side by side, you can see the Pat McGrath versus the Lisa. The Lisa looks a little bit more muted, and this is definitely a little punchier of a green. So if you really like green, definitely the Pat McGrath is a little more green. I think the Lisa Eldridge is very wearable because it is that bronzy gold olive, and so it's like a green for people who don't like green or are a little scared of a colorful shade. So I really do love that. They do feel pretty similar. I think the Pat feels a little thicker. And I think when you blend out the Lisa shades, you get more of the base. Like, see the green, the base is blending out as well. And on this one, the sparkle is blending out more than the base. So the Lisa has, I don't know exactly what the formula difference is, but the base is blending as well versus just disappearing and leaving the sparkle. So they're not exactly the same formula, but they are pretty similar. The closest that I've really found. I have the original Haus Labs ones. They're not like, they're a little more moussey than this. These are both kind of moussey, but these are more creamy. The original Haus Labs have a little bit more of a powder texture to them, but they do dry to a powder. So these drops are supposed to dry to a really budge-proof finish that's not quite described as powder. The Haus Labs were like a liquid to powder, plus they don't really exist anymore. I do have the kimchi ones, but they're mostly just sparkle. They are a little bit more similar to the About Face that way. But I also have a couple Sydney Grace ones and the new Haus Labs paints. So let's put a couple of these here. These are both liquid in like a squeezy tube. I don't have any of the Danessa Myricks ones. A lot of that came out. I had tried one of the Danessa Myricks Color Fix in the matte formula, and it wasn't matte enough. It stayed too sticky. So I did return that, and I don't have any others. But here's that Sydney Grace one. A big blob came out, way more than I would need. But I'm gonna blend it out. This is the Sydney Grace shade Cliff Jumping. And this is probably the closest shade-wise to the Pat McGrath Platinum Bronze. You can see I got way too much, but it's got a little bit more purple to it, a little bit more mauve, and it's a very different formula. It is way more liquidy. And then the Haus Labs is also a very liquidy formula. Put a little dollop of the rose gold from Haus Labs here, and I'll spread that out. This is more, the Haus Labs metallic ones are a little bit more of a traditional liquid metallic shade. Like, there's definitely sparkle there, but I feel like you get more, like the Lisa shades, the reason I like them is you can blend them out with your fingers and you get just a perfect one and done, and it doesn't look overly metallic. It doesn't dry into like a hard finish. The Haus Labs I do really like, but I only have a couple because I like to wear them over a matte versus just by themselves. You can see a little does go a long way, and you can blend them out. And they do get sparklier the more you go, but it's just a more liquid consistency. These are a little more moussey, a little thicker feeling. So I'm going to wash my hands real quick and then try these out on the eyes. And I am planning on doing a more in-depth video comparing and contrasting all of the different liquid eyeshadows I have, but I want to wait for the About Face to get here, and I want to like get to know these before I do that. This is really just a first impression. I do want to say, so the Haus Labs, people complain they dry too fast. If you work one eye at a time, it's not too bad, but I do want to show you that when I washed all of these off with soap and water, the Haus Labs is the only one that is still there. Like, I need to use actual makeup remover for the last of that. I do. Okay, so for the demo, I'm gonna just do one on each eye. It is kind of late in the day, so I'm not gonna do a wear test today, but I will keep playing with them and let you know. let you know if they wear well without a primer, if you need a primer. I know I have fairly oily eyelids, so even with like the Lisa Eldridge shades, I do need a primer for them to last all day. But with a little bit of the Urban Decay primer underneath, they last all day without issue. So I want to see how these will do. I'm going to use my Sonia G brushes. So these are both from the Fusion set that are meant to be, like, you can use them with anything, but they are meant to perform best with liquids and creams. So I'm going to try those, and I'm going to put one on each eye, and I want to see how they look and how they blend on the eye. Because one thing I really like about the Lisa ones is you can do a quick one and done with your finger or with a brush. So I'm going to try both. Hi, Dean. So on this eye, I'm going to do Platinum Bronze. And I am going to just place a little bit right here. And it's generally best to do one eye at a time with liquid shadows, just because you don't know how fast they will dry. But so far this is working really well with my finger. I would say it's diffusing nicely. It's looking very metallic on the lid. I'm gonna take this Sonia G blender and I'm just gonna blend the edges a little bit more and see how this works. I think, first impression wise, I think the Lisa Eldridge shades blend out a little bit better. Especially, you don't even need a matte, you can just blend the edges. But this is blending pretty nicely. And you could definitely use mattes, I'm just not right now. Okay, so that looks really pretty. It is definitely metallic with a little bit of sparkle. It's not overly sparkly, but there are micro sparkles in it. Okay, now let's try the green. Okay, so on this eye, I'm gonna do Cosmic Chartreuse, and I'm just going to paint a little bit on. It's very green. And I'm gonna just use a brush the whole time with this side and see how it works. This is the Sonia G Worker. So this one is blending a little bit differently than the Platinum Bronze. It's looking a little softer. I don't think I put less on my lid, but I have less product. So I'm gonna put a little bit more on, just a tiny bit. And just kind of blend out. I wanna make sure the edges are nice and buffed. So this is blending out nicely. I do think, yeah, the base pigment is not blending out as much. So it's not as easy. Like, you can definitely do a one and done look with this, but I feel like the Lisa has a little bit more blend to it. The shade Daphne from Lisa Eldridge. But this is looking really pretty. I think blending it out, you lose a little bit of the green, but you can see it is still pretty green, especially as the light hits it. And it is I wouldn't say like necessarily as olive as Daphne. It's got a little bit more of that chartreuse. So I do think the description was accurate in that. So it blended out really nicely. But like I said, I don't really see, I'm not getting like a soft blend of green up here. Like with Daphne, you can like, the green blends out and it kind of looks like you have a green matte there. This isn't doing that. This doesn't look like I have a matte there as well. But on the Platinum Bronze side, it does look a little bit more. I think there's just a little bit more of the base pigment in this one than there is in this one. But they are really pretty. Okay, so I'm gonna go off camera real quick and throw on some mascara and I'll be right back. Okay, so I went ahead and added a little bit of my Pat McGrath mascara, and I do wanna add a little bit more green, especially when I went into the bathroom. Like, this was a very subtle wash of green, and this looks more like an easy one and done shade. So I wanna see if using my finger with the green helps. So I'm gonna add a little bit more. And then I'm gonna tap that out. Okay, so I think, yeah, if you want to preserve the color, use your finger. Using a brush works and gets a nice blend. So if you want a wash of color, I would use a brush if you want it softer. And if you want more of the real color, I would use your finger. So that is good to know. It does work with both, but you do get a very different application. And like I said, I will keep playing with these. Okay, so both eyes are now done, and I do think they look really beautiful. I hope the camera is picking them up as nicely as they are. I do think a finger is the way to go. So if you do not like using your finger with shadows, you can use a brush, but both brushes picked up, like the way it blended out, it was much more sheer. So if you really want opaque, like true to tube, not true to pan, true to tube color, I would use your finger. But they both look really beautiful. It's very smooth, metallic with a subtle sparkle. They're not overly glittery. They're not overly like harsh, shiny metallic like the original Haus Labs ones. They had the regular ones that were sparkly and more matte, or dried down to more of a matte finish. And then they had ones that were like metallic, and those were more like some of the traditional metallic shadows that I've tried, where you get like an intense metal look. This is not that. This is not an intense metal like some liquid shadows are, especially I think some of the Stila ones were like that. Some of the kimchi ones were like that. Those also tended to sting my eyes, and these I'm not having any issue with. So really pretty formula, really excited to keep playing with them and trying them out. So I will keep using them and keep you posted. I will do another video probably, and I will do a liquid eyeshadow video soon. But for first impression, these are both really beautiful, and I do not regret either. I think this is such a pretty, like, there's a little bit of a purple, chocolate brown coolness to it. It's so pretty, but it's definitely a different finish to the other shadows I have. So I will see how these wear and try out other ways to apply them and stuff and keep you posted. Let me know in the comments below if you picked any of these up or if you're excited to try them. I don't think that they are limited edition. I think the collection is limited edition, but I don't know if these are like going away. It seems weird to invent a new formula for a limited edition product, so I'm hoping that they become a permanent thing in some way or another. But I will let you know once I've tried these more what I think. But for a first impression, they're really beautiful. So thank you so much for watching. Remember to like and subscribe, and I will see you in my next video.